Breaking updates in the aerospace world have just been revealed. Debris from Booster B14 has been successfully recovered, bringing with it key clues that could help unravel the mystery behind its dramatic explosion. Even more noteworthy newly released footage shows B-14 executing its active flip maneuver, a complex and critical action pulled off in truly spectacular fashion. At the same time, the community was taken by surprise as Jared Isaacman officially withdrew from the race to become NASA administrator. In today's episode of Space Now, we'll break it all down. Flight 9 will forever be remembered as one of Starship's most dramatic missions, where expectations soared high, only to be met with a literal explosive finale. Despite surpassing several technical milestones, both stages of Flight 9 encountered serious issues that forced the entire spaceflight industry to take notice. Most notably, just seconds before splashdown, Booster B14 suddenly went dark. SpaceX lost all contact with the vehicle. No data was available at the time, creating an unsettling information blackout that left experts and fans alike guessing. But now, the fog is starting to clear. New images have surfaced showing debris, particularly composite overwrapped pressure vessels COPVs, washing up on the shores of Mexico. In just one photo at least, 9 COPVs can be seen, with more appearing in additional images. These COPVs are essential components for storing high-pressure gases used to feed the engines. Clearly labeled Made in the USA and bearing the logo of Luxfer, a longtime SpaceX supplier, the tanks were among the first pieces of wreckage identified. Alongside them are numerous other fragments of varying shapes, colors, and sizes, likely parts of the lower fuselage fuel delivery systems or internal structural elements from the Super Heavy booster. The debris locations perfectly match pre-launch hazard warnings and official flight path maps. The designated danger zone extended from offshore Boca Chica, Texas, southeast, toward the area between Florida and Cuba. According to the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA), all debris from Flight 9 landed within this pre-cleared area. Because Super Heavy operates for only 6 to 7 minutes before returning, its splashdown site was always expected to be relatively close to Texas and Mexico. Given the strong ocean currents in the region, it's entirely plausible that lightweight components like the COPVs drifted ashore. Their relatively intact condition reveals even more. It's now clear that the B-14 explosion was significant, but not total. The fact that the COPVs remained nearly undamaged indicates the blast wasn't powerful enough to burn or obliterate the rocket's full structure. However, it was forceful enough to rip off external panels, fuel lines, engine plumbing, and load-bearing structural parts underneath. Flight 10 is preparing for launch, but behind it lies an intense battle of science and power. And everything will be revealed right here on Space Now. So what caused it? SpaceX has shared its initial assessments. According to early analysis, B-14 had to re-enter the atmosphere at a steeper angle than usual, putting extreme aerodynamic stress on the rear section of the booster. This, combined with an engine malfunction during the landing burn phase, may have led to a fuel leak and ignition during descent. Footage of the burn sequence before signal loss reveals several anomalies, further supporting the theory that the explosion was triggered by leaking and igniting propellant during descent. However, until SpaceX publishes its official investigation report, these remain technical hypotheses. Still, these findings raise a critical question. Will the Starship launch schedule be affected? The good news is probably not. The FAA has confirmed that the issues encountered by B-14, including loss of grid, fin control engine malfunctions during the landing burn, and a hard splashdown fall within categories that are exempt from expanded investigation. That means SpaceX will not face additional legal or technical reviews, allowing them to maintain their rapid launch cadence. But that doesn't mean they're off the hook. Recovery and proper disposal of debris is mandatory, especially since some of it has already washed ashore in Mexican waters where environmental protection laws are strict. Engineers and recovery teams will need to conduct a thorough survey, collect all debris, and evaluate any environmental impact in close coordination with Mexican authorities. This isn't just a technical matter, it's a diplomatic one. A single mishandled cleanup could jeopardize future launches due to legal or environmental violations. Despite the challenges, the atmosphere at Starbase remains optimistic. Since the FAA's investigation is limited to Starship's upper stage and no major delays are expected, the launch window for Flight 10 in June still looks promising. And the hardware status backs that up. Both Ship 36 and Booster 16 have successfully completed cryogenic testing, a grueling process that evaluates their ability to withstand ultra-low temperatures, and engine installation is already underway. Once static fire tests, engine tests that check for thrust and stability are complete, SpaceX will move straight into final launch preparations. Now, what about you? Do you think Flight 10 will take off in June? Drop a yes or no in the comments section below, along with your best guess for the launch date. As for me, I'm betting on June 22nd, a date that's not too soon, not too late, but just right for SpaceX to deliver another explosive milestone in the space race. Even though B14 ended in a blast, it still brought major progress. Unlike previous boosters, B14 was never intended to be recovered, giving engineers the freedom to test bold new maneuvers. Once again, SpaceX proves that not every mission needs to succeed to move humanity forward. In this test, SpaceX pushed the boundaries of what's possible and walked away with some incredibly valuable lessons. Specifically, 3 major objectives were set: re-entry at a higher angle of attack, a 2-engine landing burn, and most notably, an active flip maneuver during hot staging, a high-risk test of advanced flight control. Although the landing burn was cut short due to a booster failure, the active flip was successfully executed. This marked a major milestone in heavy-lift rocket control, opening a new chapter in dynamic stage separation techniques. SpaceX later released dramatic footage of the flip, including a never-before-seen camera angle from inside the booster's engine bay, a space subject to extreme heat vibration and pressure. Installing and operating a camera in such a harsh environment is both a technical and media achievement, highlighting SpaceX's increasingly refined design control down to the smallest detail. Additionally, cameras were mounted on the forward section of both the booster and the Starship, providing broader insight into the flight paths and behavior of each stage during separation. So what exactly happened during the active flip footage shows the 3 sea-level Raptor engines igniting with full power during hot staging. After separation, they gimbaled in different directions, producing a visibly off-axis flame pattern before returning to a centered alignment. This intentional offset in thrust vectoring generated torque that helped rotate the booster along a controlled trajectory. Worth noting, the vacuum-optimized Raptors on the Starship hadn't yet built up significant thrust at that moment, meaning the entire burden of initiating the flip fell solely on the 3 sea-level engines. This required split-second precision and coordinated control down to the millisecond. But thrust vectoring wasn't the only factor, as seen in the front-mounted camera view. SpaceX had also modified the hot staging ring. One side was completely sealed with no vent holes. When the engines ignited, pressure built up unevenly, with the sealed side trapping more force, creating the aerodynamic imbalance needed to tip the booster in the desired direction. That design decision was a breakthrough. In previous missions, boosters flipped randomly, forcing SpaceX to waste valuable fuel correcting orientation before descent. With this new method, they saved significant propellant, which can now be allocated to carry heavier payloads into orbit. On the X platform, SpaceX confirmed, for the first time, Super Heavy flipped in a controlled direction after stage separation. This maneuver requires less propellant reserve and enables increased payload to orbit. However, one big question now arises: how will this system evolve? At Starbase, SpaceX recently unveiled a redesigned hot staging ring, this time with a much larger central vent, reminiscent of the staging system used in the Soviet N-1 rocket. The challenge is that with a large central hole, it becomes much harder to create the pressure differential required for a controlled flip. So how will SpaceX adapt? Two likely paths are on the table. The first, also the safer route, is to stick with the current strategy of sealing off one side of the hot staging ring to generate thrust asymmetry. This method has already proven effective and reliable in actual flight. However, this could interfere with Starship's own trajectory, making the staging sequence more complex and potentially riskier. At this stage, it's clear that the first option remains the more technically feasible and reliable approach. Regardless of which path they choose, one thing is undeniable: SpaceX is rapidly iterating, testing, failing, learning, and adapting at a remarkable pace, refining the world's most powerful launch system step by step. Even without a successful landing, B14 delivered a massive amount of data, particularly from systems that had never been tested in real flight conditions before. Experiments like these are the foundation upon which the future of modern aerospace is being built. If you're just as eager to see what SpaceX does next, type "keep going" in the comments below and show your support. With controlled explosions like B14, we're getting closer than ever to a future where humanity could settle beyond Earth. But just as momentum was building, a political twist rocked the U.S. space leadership. Jared Isaacman was officially withdrawn from consideration for NASA administrator. A booster explodes, classified data leaks, and Isaacman is out. What on earth is going on? This is space now. This was a major shock across the aerospace community. Many had confidently expected Isaacman, the billionaire entrepreneur and commander of the Inspiration 4 and Polaris Dawn missions, to be appointed under President Donald Trump. On May 31st, the news outlet Semaphore reported that Trump had withdrawn Isaacman's nomination. Shortly after, the White House confirmed the decision along with a statement from Trump on Truth Social. After a thorough review of prior associations, I am withdrawing the nomination of Jared Isaacman. A new candidate will be announced, one aligned with our mission and committed to putting America first in space. A White House spokesperson further emphasized that the next NASA administrator must fully align with the America First vision, putting U.S. interests and leadership at the forefront of space competition. A key theme mentioned was a renewed focus on Mars, a destination the U.S. no longer just wants to explore, but to claim as a symbol of leadership and presence. This placed Isaacman in a tough spot. He's long advocated a balanced approach between lunar and Martian missions rather than focusing solely on one objective. While scientifically sound, this centrist strategy may not have aligned with the current administration's more aggressive Mars-centric direction. Some reports suggest Isaacman also opposed proposed budget cuts to NASA, once publicly calling them less than ideal, and vowing to advocate for stronger investments in space science. Political analysts have also pointed to Isaacman's past financial contributions to Democratic campaigns during the 2022 election cycle, a factor that may have influenced the final decision. Though speculative in today's polarized climate, any perceived affiliation can become a liability. Despite the setback, Isaacman responded graciously on X, formerly Twitter, expressing continued support for the administration and optimism for the road ahead. Elon Musk also spoke out, praising Isaacman as a rare combination of competence and good heart. Across the space community, many saw him as one of the strongest candidates, technically skilled, forward-thinking, and most importantly, someone with real flight experience aboard SpaceX missions. His removal now leaves NASA in continued limbo, as the agency has been without a permanent administrator for nearly 6 months. And what about you? Politics aside, do you think Jared Isaacman deserved NASA's top leadership role? Let us know what you think in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. You've just witnessed SpaceX's incredible flip maneuver and a political flip of a different kind at NASA. Want to stay updated on what happens next? Subscribe to Space Now and get ready for the next chapter in this wild journey.